Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Miner. This weekly no-fluff mindset show arms you with the practical tools you need to get unstuck so you can get exactly what you want out of life. Remember, when you change your mind, your life will follow. Let's get into today's episode. Hey there, ladies. Welcome back, and thanks as always for joining me on the Unstuck Podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic we've talked about in pretty much almost every episode here already in this podcast, but something I think I want to take some time to dive in very, very deeply, spend like a whole episode just going deep on the subject, because I think this is, of course, super important, but also like the thing that we are, I guess we'll say, doing wrong or not thinking about enough or not realizing how important it is and taking it seriously when it comes to this whole mindset work, attraction, manifestation, whatever you want to call it, getting what you want, whatever you want to call it. This is where we're lacking a little bit. So I want to just really take the time to break it all down for you so that you can really understand, are you in alignment or are you out of alignment? And hopefully by now you understand and know how important it is, the whole concept of alignment, how important that is to getting what you want, to taking action, which we talked about a few episodes ago, and inspired action, and being able to hear from your intuition, being able to go through life and feel really freaking good. All of this is based on alignment, and even just like getting signs from the universe and connecting to your higher power. Like, it takes alignment, and we are, I think, knowing that's what we need to do, but I don't know if we're actually doing it, or if you think you're doing it, but really going about it the wrong way. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty today so you can see, are you out of alignment or are you in alignment, or are you sometimes in alignment, sometimes out of alignment, which is, by the way, totally normal and natural. And we'll talk about that too. First, before we get started, a few things. First of all, welcome to all the new ladies, new faces in the Unstuck Project. Enrollment is now closed for the February class. Not sure when I'm opening it again, but I'm so happy to have just awesome, dedicated, open-minded, willing, wanting new women in the course. And if you weren't able to connect this time, just be on the lookout probably in another few months, perhaps, on your next opportunity to get into the Unstuck Project, because it is awesome. And I'm so excited to get started with these ladies. I do want to make you aware of a few things that you may not have yet taken advantage of that are free, which is, first of all, I haven't talked about it in a while, but I hope you all still remember that there is a quiz that is really fun. It's like Cosmo style, but for adults and people that want to learn a little bit more about themselves and not like who your crush is. It is over on seanminer.com, my homepage. Scroll down just a little bit. You can take the Check Yo Vibe quiz, and it will tell you if you're high vibe, mid vibe, or low vibe, which we talk about a lot here on the show. And just that's how the vibrational energy that we are putting out based on our emotions and based on the actions that we take because of those emotions and where we sit, you can find out where your vibration is most of the time. So you can go take that quiz if you haven't already. It's totally free. And if you have already taken it and it's been a while, it might be fun to go back and retake it now that you have done some of this work here that we talk about on the show, and see where you're at now. So you can always retake the quiz and see how you're doing now. And then just a reminder, of course, too, of the high vibe wallpapers. A few new ones have been added as of, the first of the year. So we're going to keep adding some new ones in there. Once you have access to the library, you always have access to the library. And these are just digital wallpapers to have on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, your desktop, whatever. you can have that all decked out with some high vibe wallpapers to just remind you what you're doing, what you're standing for these days, what you want to feel and attract and bring into your life. Right now on my phone, I have let go and flow because that's always something I have to work on. So it's nice to have that reminder every single time I open my phone. So that you can do over at seanminer.com/wallpapers. Head there. And like I said, once you have access to that library, you'll get an update every time there is a new wallpaper to choose from, because it really is important. And if you do already have access to that, it might be time to change it up. It's so important that we don't, how quickly we can get used to our surroundings. And then we look at our computer screen and we don't even realize what the background is anymore. You've got to change it up like every few weeks. So that's why there are 9 already that you can choose from, because you want to switch it up. So if you do already have access, go into that library, and maybe it's time to get something new for yourself, to be reminded of these new high vibes that you might have. All right. So now let's get into our alignment chat for today. And of course, I know some of you are probably thinking, like, we are talking about alignment again. You talk about this all the time, Sean. Why do we have to talk about it again? And really, sorry, yes, we are talking about it again because, like I mentioned, it is the most important piece to everything we're doing here. The most important piece. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, but you just said that about awareness. And while I think awareness is the biggest portion, it's like definitely the first piece to the puzzle is finding this awareness about yourself and your mindset and your thoughts and what you want and all that stuff. And like I said, it's about 75% of the mindset puzzle, because it takes a lot of first initial workings. But then the alignment piece is where things actually shift. It's where change actually starts coming in. And so it doesn't take necessarily as much effort on, at the beginning, I guess, but it takes effort forever. Like, it is your new norm. It is your new go-to with this alignment portion. So that's why it's so important, because that's how we actually make things happen. But also often the hardest piece to the mindset, law of attraction, manifestation, like I said, whatever you want to call it, to this puzzle, because nothing can happen and no momentum can ever get started for you if you are out of alignment, no matter how much awareness you have, no matter how many beliefs you've uncovered and redesigned, and how much how specific your wants and desires are. You still aren't going to get them if you aren't in alignment, at least the majority of the time. So we're going to break it down, and you will create your own alignment radar, which I think is really fun. So I can tell you personally that for me, the part of the mindset practice that I do every single morning without fail, and basically what my goal is, what I always come back to, even throughout the day, especially if I notice kind of my vibe changing, if I notice my thoughts getting a little more ego-like, mean girl-like, or if I notice my emotion downgrading from this high vibe where I like to be all day. If I notice that happening, I turn to alignment. And first thing in the morning, I turn to alignment. It's the biggest part of my personal mindset practice, both like the thing I do regularly as a practice, but what I turn to most often. And for me, I'll just tell you what I do in the morning that really gets me into alignment. First of all, I meditate. And second of all, I journal. And journaling just automatically is an alignment practice for me. Like, it's my favorite thing. I love it. And when I'm done and I have closed my journal for the day, I feel so good. But also, I love listening to Abraham Hicks in the morning over on YouTube. I'll just pick a random talk that they do and just listen in. And I have my journal ready too at that point. So I can take notes on anything they say that really resonates with me for that day. And then, of course, you can go back and read those throughout the day or later that week or later that month or whatever, but you always have those little nuggets of wisdom that really show up for you in that time that you can kind of keep track of. So that's my practice that I do with alignment every single day. And then, like I said, just being very aware of when my vibe starts shifting, whether it's through my thoughts or my emotions, whatever I notice in different times of the day, that's when I also come back to this alignment piece. And that always looks a little bit different throughout the day, depending on what I'm doing. It might be that I have a really stressful thing going on at work, so I kind of make the best of my surroundings while I'm getting through that stressful thing. Usually it's still computer based, so while I'm sitting in front of my computer at my desk, maybe I have a chai with me, or I have some essential oils going, or I have some music playing, something where I still feel good, that it still is an enjoyable time. Or if I can, I take a break. I go out in nature and get some nature time, or I take a break and play with my dog, get a hug from my partner, like these things that bring me up. So as soon as I notice things shifting, I find a way to bring myself back up in, various ways. And we'll kind of talk about that as we move forward today. Like I mentioned, I think the big takeaway I want you to get from this today is that getting into and being in and staying in alignment is a forever practice. It is a practice. Yes, for sure. It is something that you incorporate into your life and you keep working on and going towards, but also hopefully it becomes a habit too. With that practice, like with anything that we practice, we also can build a habit around that, which would be really amazing. So let's first go over, which will be a review for some of you. It might be the first time you're hearing it for others. If you're just tuning in to the Unstuck podcast, what does alignment mean? Let's go over that first. I have a couple different definitions for you. I think it's important with things like this to find several different ways to approach it and see which one resonates with you the most, at least right now. Of course, remember with this kind of thing, it might change in a month or a year or 10 years or even a day. But see what one resonates with you right now and take that one and really absorb that one. And maybe they all do, which is also fine. So let's go through some of these definitions of alignment. The first one, being an energetic match for whatever it is you want. Now, this is the one I think we've referred to the most here on Unstuck. It is what kind of quote unquote raising your vibration means. It's what that's all about, is the universal law that like attracts like. And in terms of frequencies of vibration, like frequencies attract like frequencies. And you can go back to episode 3 where we really broke this down, especially in terms of emotion in that episode. So we're looking to attract the vibrational energy of what we want through our emotion. So positive emotions are high vibe and will lead to you getting more of the same. So that's kind of our point of attraction, is in our emotions. And so when we are a like match for the emotion that will come when we receive what we want, then things start happening, which is amazing. And that is being in alignment, is that connection of the vibrational energy that you're putting out and based on what you want to receive. The second definition is when your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions are all aligned to one common goal. So we've talked about this one too in episode 5 and the episode about why you do what you do, which really goes back to your beliefs. The flow, it's the kind of the flow of how things go, and it starts with your beliefs, and then those beliefs turn into thoughts, and then your thoughts lead into emotions, and then your emotions lead into actions. So these all need to line up with what you want or how you want to feel. Like basically they all are lined up according to your goal or your dream, your desire, whatever you have. those all match up, and then we are in alignment. So here's an example of this one just to break it down. Say you have the goal of finding your perfect job. So you believe, remember, it starts with beliefs. We start here to get what we want. You, first of all, do some digging to make sure that you don't have any beliefs that contradict this, but then you move into and you create the belief in you that you are worthy and valuable to have that perfect job. And then that turns into thoughts. So when you start, the job hunt process, you have the thoughts that you'll find the perfect position, that these companies are going to be so grateful to have you on their team, that you're going to crush the interviews, that the perfect job is out there for you, waiting for you. So those are the thoughts that then guide you into having these emotions of you feeling like super proud and confident that you are who you are, that you have the background that you have, and just like knowing you're going to get that job, and you walk in and you have confidence and you're proud of yourself and you're outgoing and you feel really good about everything when you have this interview or put out your resume or whatever it is. And then that turns into your result of getting the job, landing your perfect dream job. That is how that goes. That's how alignment looks when everything lines up to one common goal. Really, really cool. The third definition, alignment, this is my favorite. Alignment is getting out of your own way. Hello, amen. Can we say that again? Getting out of your own way. Hey, how many of us are in our own way or have been in our own way? Like without you even knowing perhaps that you were in your own way. Now we know. And now we know we need to get out of our own way. So you let go of the sense of a need to try to figure out the how, to try to get where you want to go, to try to effort. And we talk about that a whole lot, especially in the last few episodes ago on Stop Waiting, Start Doing. We are really good at efforting things sometimes. And that never really goes as planned when we do that. But when you can get out of your own way, you let go of the need to figure out the how and the when and the why and all this stuff. And you work on the confidence in allowing it to come to you as you stay in alignment, because you know that alignment is the goal here. And with alignment comes the attraction of what you want. Another way to put it would be to kind of relax, be able to relax in the certainty of what is coming. Like knowing it's going to come, knowing you don't need to know exactly how it's going to come, but you know it's on its way, and all you have to do is relax and align. Just relax and align. Ooh, that sounds wonderful. And I think most of you are like, cool, I want that for sure. That sounds amazing. It's definitely, of course, harder to do than it is to say, but not impossible. And I think especially once we go over what that looks like what alignment looks like, what you can do, then you'll be like, I think I can start this process. I think I could make this happen. Especially if I don't have to do it 100% of the time, because of course there's going to be moments where you're like, I just want to know how this is going to happen. But you don't have to know that in order for it to come. And the more you practice, the better you get at realizing that. The fourth definition, you enter a flow state where everything you want just seems to happen naturally for you. And this is basically, of course, this is a definition of alignment, because this is what it looks like when you are aligned, is things flow to you without effort or force, because you have relaxed and allowed it all to unravel for you. Things just happen naturally, and it is amazing. It's a place we all want to be. Let me just tell you, if you've never been there, trust me, you want to get there. And the fifth one, last one here, alignment is your communication system with the universe. We communicate to universal forces by way of emotion. Remember that that is how we set up this whole communication process. It's how we let the universe or our higher power, whatever you want to call it, know what you want, what you are expecting, what you're ready to receive. We do so by way of emotion, and that is in alignment. All right, so now hopefully I've gotten you all pretty excited about being in alignment. So now we kind of need to know, are you in alignment or out of alignment? And here are the signs. Now, basically, we're kind of going about this in the way too that if you don't have these, or you can just, I guess, assume that the opposite of these means you're in alignment. So kind of if you have this yes-no type framework, just know that if you aren't experiencing this, if you're experiencing the opposite of what I say, it means you're in alignment. So you're doing pretty good, which is amazing. Now, also keep in mind that you can be out of alignment in one area of your life and then in alignment in another area of your life. So I think this is actually how a lot of us are, especially if you've started this mindset work, and you probably have a part of your life that flows to you really easily. Maybe it was finding love and finding like your perfect partner, and you guys have been together for 20 years and it was the most fabulous thing and still is the most fabulous thing. You don't have resistance to that. So you are constantly feeling this alignment naturally in your area of relationship. But then when it comes to money or health or your body, you're like constantly stuck and struggling and you're efforting because you're out of alignment there. And it may be the reverse. It may be something totally different. Maybe you have always had really easy ways of financial abundance, but yet you can't find love. And so we find it is actually very interesting when something has always come easily to you and you don't have that resistance, because also another definition of alignment is not being resistant, or, the opposite of alignment is resistance. And so it's like the more in alignment you are in one area of your life, the more in alignment you are. Like it just continues to cycle to where you don't even think about it. You just know you're in alignment. You feel really good all the time in that area of your life. And then the same thing goes for being out of alignment. When you're struggling in one area of your life, like you just keep thinking about how you're struggling and what you need to do and wanting to know the how and feeling really bad about that situation. And so it just perpetuates that cycle of out of alignment-ness in the same way. So keep that in mind. I do think what's really great about that is that if you have an area where you do feel really in alignment and you don't really focus on what things aren't going well, you just know the right thing always comes along and you feel really good, you relax and allow in that area of your life, then you know what it feels like. You have that as a point of reference. So you already know what it feels like to be in alignment, and you can then mirror that feeling, that notion into this other area of your life where you may be struggling. So keep that in mind. I think it's really, really cool that we do have that ability to see it work in another area of our life. All right. So are you out of alignment? Here are the signs. Number 1, your manifestations aren't happening. Like not even getting any signs, not even any sort of hint from the universe that you're heading in the right direction. Just like nothing is happening. And you know what you want. You've done that work. You've done the awareness part, but it's like silence, crickets when it comes to it actually manifesting for you. Remember, you can only connect and communicate your desires to the universe to bring that into your existence when you are in alignment, when you are feeling good. Like attracts like. And remember also, it's not your concern when or how your manifestation will happen. You don't have control, and you don't need to control the when and the how. And as soon as you can release that, hey, that alignment's going to come a lot easier. And when you then start getting into alignment and start doing this work, you will get signs. It's up to you to see them as that, and to take inspired action based on those signs, but you will start seeing signs. They might be tiny little things that you're like, I think that's actually a sign. Like, it is the most fun thing to start looking and noticing for those signs because they are there. It's up to you to see them, and you will not see them if you are not in alignment. You won't even know that that's what that is, but they are there. So keep that in mind. The second way to know if you're out of alignment, if you are being fueled by negative emotion. Well, duh, of course, we know this, but I think a lot of us are being fueled by negative emotion and not even realizing it. Because think about it this way, things like stress or being in autopilot mode, even just being disconnected and, checking Instagram and watching Netflix and doing these things instead of engaging in life, those are negative emotions. That is not a high vibe place. Now, of course, if you are, checking Instagram to see if your friend had a baby or something that would bring you great joy, then that, of course, would help. Or if you are watching Netflix while, cuddling with your partner, eating your favorite dessert, like really fully experiencing this amazing sense of relaxation and calm and peace, and, watching a movie is part of that experience, then that's one thing. We're talking about disengagement, disconnection, which is a totally different thing. And it's up to you, of course, to determine what you're doing on a regular basis. But hello, stress. Oh my gosh, women and stress go hand in hand. And I've seen that now over 6 years, even just being a personal trainer, I saw that was a very common theme in all of the clients, all the people I've ever worked with, which is now thousands, of course. And it is something that is keeping us out of alignment, and we think we don't have control over it, or we think we have to take a supplement or eat a certain diet or move a certain way in order to relieve our stress. No, we have to think differently to relieve our stress. It is not just about taking that adrenal support every single day or trying to get another hour of sleep. What is going on in your mind that is fueling that stress? And remember, stress is a negative emotion. So are you being fueled by negative emotion? That means you are out of alignment. Number 3, letting your situation dictate your mood. Letting your situation dictate your mood. When you are in alignment, your emotion comes from a deeper place than one external situation. Like, you are so grounded in how you feel and the energy you are putting out that, like the annoying situation at the bank or the technical thing that happened during your meeting at work, whatever it is, you are so grounded and confident in how you feel internally that these external things are not going to influence how you feel, your emotions. And that is really key. So it's really a rooted feeling of this overall high vibe-ness. Number 4, being led by doing instead of feeling. Oh my gosh, like going back again. Hello, all women here, being led by doing instead of feeling. And we're going to actually do a whole episode about this coming up very soon. The Be Do Have model. We need to get out of autopilot mode. And remember, I do have a free 7-day challenge to help you get out of autopilot mode and basically just see how much you've actually been in autopilot mode for a very long time. You can do that over at shawnminer.com/autopilot-challenge. But anyway, if you are going through the motions of life, if you are doing instead of feeling, and then letting that feeling lead how you respond to life and what you do, and just being really super engaged and aware of how you feel, that is where we want to get. That is the goal, is to be led by feeling instead of just doing, because that means you are disengaged and out of alignment. Number 5, the fifth way to know if you are out of alignment, not working towards a purpose, dream, or goal. So you basically, when you don't have something that you're working towards, if you're not trying to better yourself or create something new for yourself or expand yourself, I mean, that's such a great way to think about it. We should constantly be in the place of expansion. We want to continue to expand ourselves and our existence and our souls and our spirits and who we are and what our purpose here is on this earth. If you aren't constantly working towards expansion, then what are you working towards? If you don't have this thing that you see on the horizon, then you can't be in alignment with that thing. And then you're just ho-humming life, right? We've lost touch with the real purpose here. And of course, then you're out of alignment. Number 6, if you are making decisions based on your ego chatter, that mean girl, that inner critic right here, not based on your intuition. So you are not connected to your internal navigation system. That means that then you start efforting, you start looking for outside sources for what you should do. Again, we go more into that doing mindset instead of being mindset or feeling mindset. And we break our alignment. We break that pattern, or we never were in it in the first place. And we don't have the ability to then get in alignment. So you've got to really do that work. We've talked about it quite a bit here on doing, figuring out, and you can go back to the Mean Girl episode, episode 24, and listen to that about how to really know and control that ego chatter, that mean girl chatter, so that then you can tap into your internal navigation system, which will always lead you in the right direction and get you into alignment. And then number 7, the biggest one, like as big as the one talking about stress all the time and talking about doing instead of feeling, focusing on what you don't want instead of what you expect to come. If you are wanting something and then spending all your time focusing on not having it, which is what we do subconsciously most of the time, all of us. So be very aware of that in you. If that is what you're doing, you're not in alignment. You might think that you are because you don't even know that's what you're doing. But how much time do you spend, wanting to make $10,000 and then looking at your bank account, not seeing it and be like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? This is by far the hardest thing. I think it took the most practice for me, for sure, especially when I first started this work and I was really wanting a healthy body and being totally unhealthy to the point that some days I couldn't get out of bed. It was very hard for me to not be like, I feel like crap. I can't get out of bed. I can't work out. I can't hardly think. I need to go take a nap. My joints hurt. It's hard to not focus on that stuff when it's real. Like that's what you're experiencing in that moment. And for me, the best thing, which is what we're going to go over in our ways to get into alignment, the best thing was just to think of something that did make me feel good, like having nothing to do with my health or body at all. Think about something else that brought up my vibration. So speaking of, let's go into these ways to get into alignment. Now, remember, I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again until you get so sick of me. You're going to be like, Sean, never say this again. You've got to start with your awareness, because you will be continued to be fueled by your stories, your beliefs, and that will keep you out of alignment no matter how hard you try to do all these things until you've actually found those things and engaged with those things and work to start untangling them. So you can do that alongside this process, and I actually really recommend that. But just remember, you've got to start there. You can't just start trying to do all these things while you still have that voice in the back of your head that's like, nope, you suck. You're not worth this. You don't deserve a good life. You don't deserve to be happy. If you still have that going on, then no matter what you do, alignment is not going to happen. All right. So I have 8 different possibilities of things that you can do to get into alignment. We'll go over these quickly. The first will always be meditation. You have to make sure you are spending time as often as you possibly can, bringing stillness into your mind, because then this allows, even if it's 30 seconds of stillness in your mind, which some days it is, even for me, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of meditation actually is like 30 seconds of stillness, which is great because it still gives your mind the ability to be uncrowded from your typical thought patterns just for a second. And that is very helpful to start training your nervous system to do that more often and to experience that more often. So it's very important. Meditation is a huge piece to getting into alignment because we can start remembering how that feels, that stillness of the mind and uncrowding of the mind even throughout our day. And when we can let go of those thoughts, because typically our thoughts tend to revert us out of alignment, if we can let go of even some of those and get it a little less crowded in there, then we have a really good chance of staying in alignment longer. Number 2, visualization. Visualization is tricky because we can't just visualize, and this is something we do in the Unstuck project. We can't just visualize and then it should be coming to me. It should be on its way. That's how the law of attraction works. You have to visualize so clearly what you see yourself doing or being or having in the future so clearly that you can feel it. Like those feelings of whatever you're experiencing, whether it's comfort or freedom or peace or excitement, whatever it is, that needs to be coursing through your body as you feel or as you visualize, as you see in your mind's eye what you have in the future. You have to feel it, and then it will really bring you into alignment. You'll continue throughout your day with that excitement or that peace or that freedom that you then felt. Number 3, identify the feeling, which you just did in your visualization if you went there. Identify the feeling that you are expecting to get or what you really want through whatever your big ask is, and find other ways to feel it now. That is really one of the biggest and best ways to get into alignment, but also to really get the flow of the universe working for you. Is you've got to feel it now. You've got to feel it now. And then that moves into number 4, which is raising your overall vibration. So this is where we get into the conversation where no, you're not going to be 100% of the time in the highest vibration ever. There's always going to be moments. There is for every single person, unless you are like truly an enlightened being, which there are very few of on this planet. So just know that more good than bad is wonderful. And that is the goal. And obviously the higher percentage of good, the better. And the longer that you work on this, the easier it will be to spend the majority of your time in, towards the good. But we don't always have to go for the exact emotion that we're looking for that thing to bring. We can also just raise our vibration in general through the other really good emotions like gratitude and giving and appreciation and joy and comfort and love, kindness, confidence, peace. We can find ways to just feel good overall and not just pretend good, like really feel good. Not like pretend peace when inside your head is going a mile a minute, really feeling it. And so just working to do that as often as you can. High vibes equals in alignment time. And of course, the more time, the better. Number 5, choose your words wisely. Another one that we are going to have a whole episode about because this is so important. And oh my gosh, the amount of people in this world who are not doing this, the amount of haters, and even really just in general, we tend to speak to the negative. We tend to like, hello, complaining. Complaining is the biggest way to know if you are out of alignment. Even just saying things like, oh, I should do this. I would do this, but I can't. I don't want to. I won't. Negative self-talk, putting yourself down, gossiping. So talking about others, comparing yourself to others. And of course, a lot of this goes on in our head, but you know, if you're speaking it, that means it's definitely going on in your head. And this is a way that we can really start catching ourselves, because sometimes it is hard to catch our thoughts, but it is never hard to catch what we say, especially when you start becoming very aware of it. So choose your words wisely. If you are a complainer, I challenge you to stop. Just stop and see what changes in your life just because you stopped complaining. Number 6, let go. This is probably going to be the most challenging one. I'm not going to lie. Let go. We have a very hard time letting go as a society, but I really would love to see you find a sense of detachment and getting rid of that feeling of needing something to happen before you can XYZ, before you can feel a certain way, before you can do a certain thing, act a certain way, wear a certain thing, whatever. But getting rid of the need for something to happen, even the need to see a sign or, something like that. What we want, what brings the most alignment ever, is getting to a place of peace, regardless of the outcome. So finding that sense of peace and really understanding that what this is, like what we're doing here, it's all in the journey to get there. Because, hey, guess what? Once you get that thing that you're currently hoping for, you're just going to want something else, right? And so then the cycle just always continues. It never ends. It never stops. It's never like, oh, I got this thing and now cool, like I have nothing else to ever live for. We're constantly in the state of expansion. And that's the whole point of being here. But really what the point is to find the peace and the joy and the wonderfulness of the journey. And so just remember that and being okay with that and enjoying the journey and letting go of the need to get to a certain place before anything can happen. And really like love what's going on right now, the growth, the learning, the experience that you're having. Like that's the whole point. And that's what we're really here to do is learn along the way and grow along the way and share and all that stuff. So find your sense of peace there. Number 7, we're almost done. These episodes are just getting longer and longer the more I get into this unstuck work. Sorry about that. They were supposed to be 30 minutes in length, but sometimes, man, I just get on a roll. Number 7, the pivot. I love that word. Y'all know I love that word. I've used it in so many different instances in my life. But here's where we can pivot with our alignment. So like I mentioned, this is what I do. How my alignment comes into my everyday life, this practice that I do, is when you have a bad feeling or a bad thought, and even just thinking about that isn't working, like trying to change your thought, how am I going to pay the bills, into like, oh, I'll be fine. That doesn't always work, right? Because you're like, well, really, will I be fine? That starts getting you into this cycle of more negative emotion. But what you can do is to pivot to find something else to focus on that feels really good. It's like, have you ever had the giggles? I think we have all had this thing where you just get the giggles in a completely inopportune time, like you're in church or you're at a wedding or you're like in an important meeting and you have to laugh. And so in order to not laugh, you start thinking of something serious to stop that emotion. Well, that means we can also do it the opposite way. So when you start going down this rabbit hole of like, how am I going to pay my bills? I can't believe I don't have any money. When is this $10,000 going to come? What am I going to do? We're going down the rabbit hole of negativity, right? Starting to think better about money isn't going to work in that instance, but thinking about something else or getting into that place where you're doing something that feels really good. Like instead you go for a walk in nature, you go, like I said, cuddle with your partner, or you go to a dance class, or you do something that feels really good and gets you out of that negative spiral and back into alignment, because you just put it away. You pivot into something else. Okay. And then number 8, take care of your physical self. We don't talk about this much here, which is so fascinating because I've spent the past 15 years talking about taking care of your physical body through being a personal trainer and being a nutritionist. But it also does apply to mindset practice as well. And it is a little different in that your vibration also comes through yourself and your physical body. And so this means that you do enjoyable movement. You eat according to your body. So you eat intuitively and what feels good for you mentally, physically, and emotionally. And really that's what applies to the movement piece too. What feels good to you physically, mentally, and emotionally. So do that. Go do that as much as you possibly can. Make sure you're spending tons of time taking physical care of yourself. So plan out your self-care time, plan out your me time. Make sure you are just doing something that feels good physically as often as you can, because that also will get you in alignment. I think we can all agree that after we have had a really satisfying meal, we feel pretty good. After we've had a really amazing workout, a really good walk in nature, you feel really good. Not only because the environment got you into a high vibe, but because you physically feel better too. So this is a really important piece of this mindset work as well. All right. So those are my tips. That's how you know if you're in or out of alignment, and what to do if you're like, oh shoot, I'm out of alignment. This is why things haven't been going well, even though I've been trying. Now you have a place to go. And like I said, please remember, this is forever stuff. Like this list is stuff that you're doing all the time forever. Every single day I do this. This is part of my practice and always will be. And guess what? It feels so good. It's like, yes, I'm in alignment, so you want to keep going with this work all the time. I have 2 small pieces of homework for you. First of all, I want you to sit down, get out your journal, and make a happy list. I want you to write down all the things that make you happy, that make you feel really good. And I want you to refer to this list anytime that you do feel yourself out of alignment, or you need to pivot, you've gone down the rabbit hole and you need to do something that feels good, then you'll have this list. And honestly, it should be like at least 50 things. Like it should be a lot of things, small things, big things, things that take a whole weekend or take travel to get to, and then things that you can do just in your journal or at home or at work, little and big things, so that you have a list to choose from that will always keep you in alignment. And then the second thing, this week, for a whole week until we talk again, I want you to, before you turn off the light at night in bed, I want you to ask yourself, how much time did I spend in alignment today? And of course, we got to be real honest with ourselves here. How much time did you spend feeling noticeably good, like vibrating with goodness, with a good feeling emotion? Not on autopilot, not going through the motions, not stressing out, but feeling really good. Give yourself a percentage and then see if over the week, now that you're kind of being more aware of this, if it changes. If you catch yourself a little bit more and can kind of revert over to this in alignment state when you notice yourself getting out. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you know someone that might be out of alignment, which is like, hey, everybody, then please send them the link to this episode. You can text it right to their phones and be like, hey, check this out. I think you'd really love this. We can get started on this together. Like, how fun is it to do this work with somebody? And if you are, if you've recruited your friend or your mom or your sister or someone else to do this work with you, it's super fun to do together and to talk about together. And quite honestly, this is always something that I've had a problem with and something I really want to change. So this is kind of like a little bit of foreshadowing here for you. But it is hard to find a community of people that do this work with you. I feel fortunate that I have like 4 or 5 friends that I can discuss this work openly with and talk about the things that I'm doing and not doing and how things are going or not going, if I'm in alignment, out of alignment, what I'm manifesting, those kinds of things. And it is the most wonderful feeling because you do sometimes feel a little isolated in this kind of work because the vast majority of people aren't doing it. And I think that we all have the responsibility, I guess, to expand and help the people that are, deep in the trenches, because we do know how well it works. And it would be fun to have more people to talk about it with. So please share this episode, share it with a friend or a coworker or a loved one. I am so, so grateful to every single one of you who have helped me grow this podcast, helped me spread the message. It does not go lightly around here. I am grateful every single day for all of you that even just take the time to listen and do the homework and just think about these things as you go about your day. It means the world. So I hope you'll join me again in a future episode. And until then, take care.